Hey, okay, this looks like it's working. Hey, my name's Zach. I built this van. I'm gonna go through all the systems that I put in it. Probably have some cool B-roll going over the shot right now. And basically this is just give you an overview of all the systems that are in this van, how those systems were designed to work, and kind of the best practices for operating those things throughout the use of this vehicle. If you're watching this, you either bought this van or I posted this on the internet for other people to see and maybe get ideas from it of things that you should do and should not do. So that's kind of the point of this. So I'm going to start with the plumbing, I guess, the sink system. So this right here is our sink. She's a full-size sinkaroo. I wanted to do a full-size sink just because that's far more useful when it comes to using sink. Let's see, underneath the sink I've got a couple of different ways to take care of the water. So this is a valve here that can essentially, it should be pretty obvious there. Using these two things, you can either dump into the gray water here or you can go down through there. There's a hole in the bottom of the van. Over here we have kind of the general intake. That's the main water intake valve there. Right here, this one tees off of here and goes to a hose guy, which you can see there. That's kind of accessible through the outside of the van to rinse off bikes and things like that. Here we have just the water that goes to the sink. It goes into this guy and to both fittings for the hot and cold water off the sink because we don't have hot water in here. There's also a fire extinguisher under here for the just in caseums. And up here is a switch. This switch controls whether or not the pump is on or off. I'd recommend probably leaving that pump off if you are away from the van for whatever reason. If that pump is on and you know, for whatever reason there was a leak somewhere, the way this pump works is that it pumps if there's an opening in the system. So if there is a leak, it's gonna pump all that water out if it's on the other side of the pump. Let's see, if you can see right here that the pump kind of has a little hole that it comes into this cabinet from. You can access that either from underneath the bed or you can pull this guy and there's the pump systems there. It's a little dark under there, but I'll go around the back of the van and show you that. The pump system also has a sensor that's right next to it. And then I'll give you basically the codes or whatever too, so that you can read the temps or the temperature, current, and kind of the temps of the last months and months, and see if you're gonna freeze under there. That's super important. This is really not set up to do a freeze. It could freeze, but you just want to be monitoring that. If this system like freezes solid in the pipes, that could be a problem. You just want to be conscious of that for sure. Here we have the water tank. This water tank is 15 gallons and it's held in position with these strappy boys. And then on the front and back there is a basically just a block of wood to stop it from going forward or backward. Yeah. This valve right here, if you close this one, such as that, now that's all the water going to the pump. The pump would stop receiving water. that's a way you can cut that off. And then, hey Rue, how you doing, girl? This valve here, you could eventually use this for something else. You just need 1/2-inch PEX tubing, go on there. If you undid this, it would drain the water tank kind of into a bad spot, so I wouldn't mess with that one. Up here is an air vent hole. This is like basically a snorkel for the other side of everything. Come on, focus. That's just an air vent, okay? Over here is where you would fill things. This is like a little rubber stopper guy. And this guy is basically just how you close up that hole when you're not filling it up. If you were to fill it up, just take this guy, stuff him in there. And then this little clippy guy here is for that. Connect that to a hose, and that filter will put clean water in your tank. This is pretty close to as high as I fill it at any one time. And yeah, if you fill it much higher, you might get some, like going up a big hill, you might slosh it back into that snorkel guy, and that could cause it to do a leak up top, but I've never had an issue with it. I don't think that, I think the snorkel's probably long enough. Yeah, maybe I'll go back in here too. Stand by. Here we go. So in here, got the pump systems. I don't know if I can turn this light on. There's a light underneath the tank, so that's kind of fun. Here's the pump systems. You got the pump right here and the accumulators over there. Accumulator just holds pressure for a short time. This is the temperature sensor right here. And then, if you ever really wanted to, there is can't really reach it, but there is a bonus set of like 22 gauge wire that if you tapped into it, it would be on the same setup as these lights here, which are controlled by this light switch. There's lights under the tank, on, off. It's kind of cool to light up the garage area and to give you an idea of how much water's in the tank, but I kind of just did that because I thought it was fun. Okay, that's pretty much the whole plumbing system. Oh, we do have the hose over here, which has that valve that I mentioned before. Underneath the sink. Here's your hose guy. You can put any garden hose on there that you could ever want. And this comes off here. I think it is not hooked up right now, or it's not turned on. You'd have to also turn that valve. So this guy is turned the wrong way. Like right now, it's closed, so it's not gonna work. You open it up, and look, there's even a little water coming out. It's a little drippy guy, no big deal. This is the curtain. This is a photo that I took in Utah, but you put whatever curtain you want on there. I like this track. It's a flexible track, and whatever you need, just like quick privacy in the van, which is like kind of often if you want to just go and change right here or whatever. This curtain's great. The curtain slides back here, and then I actually have these little doodads set up here so that you can bundle it up if you don't need it to be super duper loose. This is a computer screen. Oh my gosh, amazing. This is wonderful if you're gonna watch movies, especially like a rainy day in the van. Watching movies in here is actually pretty fun. Everyone else is out like camping and it's cold, wet. Computer screen is awesome. Connects HDMI cable down here. It's kind of attached to the wall like a picture frame, but has this articulating arm that comes off and gives you the ability to position it so that, like in this case, you could watch something in bed. Here on the back of it is where you'll find its method of attachment, which is not the prettiest thing in the world, but it does function, and you're not going to be seeing it when it's up against the wall. To attach it back to the wall, you want to bend this guy all the way back like that, and then you're going to try to match up that little piece right there, and you'll feel it. It's actually pretty easy. I tilt the screen down so it doesn't make as much noise, but sometimes it makes noise if you're on a really bumpy road. I have done a couple of things to try and stop that noise, and I think it's just like a silent van on a bumpy road is not a reasonable expectation. Plug it in to your AC right there, turn on the inverter. This screen will turn on usually. There you go. It's pretty cool. The screen has a speaker in it, but it's not very good. So I'd usually use like a Bluetooth speaker, something like that. This thing only pulls, yeah, it looks like only a few amps. Well, maybe if I turn the screen on, it'll pull more amps, but it really doesn't pull a lot of energy to turn on the screen. I didn't use it a ton, but again, on those like rainy days, it's actually super nice. Especially if you're working too, doing a work from van. Okay, now I'm gonna go over just quickly the whole bed area and what you'll find there. I'm trying to look at the camera, looking at the screen. It's not the same. Okay. Come on down with me. This is the bed. It's a full-size bed, and we jump on in to the bed. Oh, it's very sturdy, and I'm kind of a fan for sure. Up top here, got some storage for your junk. I always ended up putting it in these baskets. The baskets are great because sometimes you don't want to get into the bed to access the things that are in those baskets. So you can just pull the basket out and then you have access to it. Right here, it's honestly just some odds and ends that have ended up in here. Take that with me. Yeah, it's kind of this little trough here. This is also how you would gain access to the electrical box from above if you needed to do anything to it. All I would be doing, accessing it from above, is checking to see why something wasn't working. If it wasn't working, there are some breakers down there and the fuse boxes down there. So this is like the easiest way to access all of it. You can take off the faceplate that's down below. I'll show you that here in a sec. But these guys are just like a little floor panel. Just pull them right up. And then, let's see if I can make this more visible. There we go. Then, all you gotta do is crank the ISO. This is a little spring-loaded like collar thing. It basically holds the top part on. If you want to access everything too, you don't have to open this top door. And then in here, take this guy, undo it. And now you have access to your whole electrical box. If you are big smarty pants and you know where this little touch light is and you can reach it through here, there we go. Got light in there. And so that is all the electrical business. You'll get a schematic included with all of this. You can see in here, just quickly, this is the main cutoff switch for everything. There is another temperature sensor in here. And then over here, we've got the two breakers for the solar panels. And then over here, there's another breaker for the Orion DC to DC charger. So that charges off the alternator. These two boxes in here, this one is the solar charge controller. So this is taking power from the solar panel and regulating it so that it can charge up this big battery right here. This is the DC to DC charger. This plugs into the alternator of the van, and it charges up your battery while you're driving. I typically have this off just because there's a lot of solar on the roof, and so you just don't end up needing it at that point. Right here is your main circuit breaker too. This is how you would basically check to see if you blew a fuse on something. You would pop this off, and then there's all your blade fuses. And if you've got a blade fuse that looks a little burnt out, that's probably what happened. You can trace all these wires. They have labels on them, and there's a number on there too. Probably can't see that. I'll zoom in. There's a number on there too. That 10 is the size of the blade fuse that you would put on there. So these lights, all the fan and the lights are 10 amps, it looks like. The fridge is 15 amps. Pretty self-explanatory on all that. That's how you would access this stuff from, sorry, I'm gonna do this. Boom, 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 boom. All right, whatever. That's how you would access this stuff from above, and I'm gonna show you what you could do to access it from below. Wow. I'm probably gonna cut this, but it's just gonna be a little journey. Before I do that, we'll also discuss this panel. This is your main guts of the van's electrical. That's where you're gonna access all that stuff. So here is AC alternating current. So anything that's this kind of an outlet, this needs to be on, or these are not gonna work. There's 3 of these throughout the van. Everything that's 12 volt will still work. So that's the fans, the fridge, the lights, these chargers. So these guys are active. Just plug something in there. You could have USB, USB-C, anything that you really wanted. This is the lights. It's on a little dimmer. This is your battery monitoring system. So right now we're actually bringing in 15 amps because it's really sunny out and it's in Arizona. This is how much power we've got. We're at 100%. INF means it's just guessing how long this could run for based on what it's charging up and what it's expelling. And it says infinite right now. Always love to see it. Voltage of the battery, amps, yeah. I usually leave it on the amperage. This is the one you want to watch. Anything over 180 amps, you're gonna blow the system. By blow the system, I mean you're gonna blow some fuses that you'd have to replace. 180 amps at one time is a lot, so just keep an eye on that. If you're running this guy at full power, this pulls about 80 amps, and so you'd have to run this along with something that's like even more than this. And the hot water kettle, these pull. I mean, this is like a 1,000 watt, 1,500 watt. Yeah, 1,000 watt kettle. So it's just a big chunk of the system's output. The AC, alternating current, stuff that the inverter is making live is the most dangerous part of the system. So I usually leave the inverter off unless I need it. Mainly people will charge their laptops and stuff with that power. It would be best to actually get a 12-volt style charger for your laptop. That's going to be the cleanest way to charge your laptop. You can totally charge it off of this power, but something like a laptop or a more precise electronic, I don't know the specifics of it, but it requires a very regulated flow of power. So we'll go to the underside of the van real quick again, and I'll show you the electrical box, everything that's kind of going on there. Okay, I'm under the van again. So over here we've got the backside of the electrical box. This is a fan. I'll show you the other side of the fan. This is pulling air out. I can feel it blowing air. It's just a little computer fan to make air flow in that little box. Another AC guy here. Again, this is not going to be on unless you turn on the inverter with that switch over there. It's the light for the box. Maybe you can see this. Sorry for the camera. Anywho, here we have kind of the system. It's behind this little plexiglass, which I think looks pretty sharp, and it kind of keeps all that stuff tucked away. If you ever wanted to pull this face off, it's really easy. There's a screw here, a screw here, and a screw here, and it would just slide right out. It's kind of wedged behind this cabinet too, but nothing is attaching it, so you just have to wiggle it if you really wanted to get it off. If you're getting that off, you're getting into some involved electrical work, so just be prepared for that. If you're ever gonna mess around in there, turn off the system, and I usually open up as many of the breakers as I can if I'm gonna be working on it. You hopefully won't need to work on it. So cool. I'm just gonna show you fridge stuff real quick. This is AC outlet number 3, okay? Open this up. We've got kind of a couple little intakes into the system. There's a little light here that usually turns on. There we go. That hole is an old hole that is not needed. This hole right here is for the switch right there. To there. This powers the fan. So if you turn that switch, the fan turns off. I usually leave the fan on, but that's because I'm in 100 degrees in Phoenix. So that's why I do that. The fan's kind of loud, so you'd probably turn it off at night if you were trying to do a real sleep. That 12 volt right there is for the battery, or for the fridge, excuse me. Yeah, little vacuum, stuff like that. Fridge wire goes out to there. And then over here is the side of the fridge, which you cannot really see. But right now I have it at 30 degrees, which is great. This fridge is awesome. 30 degrees will not quite freeze everything in there, considering the temps out here, but it looks like, you know, got cold drinks, beautiful, love it. If this light doesn't come on, that means your fridge doesn't have power. If the fridge doesn't have power, the main problem that I usually see for that is this little guy just came loose, or the part where it connects to the 12 volt inside this came loose, but it hasn't done that in a little while, so you can rest assured on the fridge. I love this fridge. I'd buy it again. It's pretty freaking awesome. We're doing a lot more sweating now. It's very hot. I'm gonna try to finish this out. That's the van. It's pretty awesome. It's Kind of sad to be getting rid of it, to be totally honest, but kind of always how it goes. We've got 2 fans up top here, 1, 2. The back fan is controlled by this remote. Take that off and on if you want. This one is not controlled by a remote. It's simply controlled by this. The fan that's over my head right now, this one is only pulling air out. The one over the bed can pull air out or pull air back in, just depending on what you want to do. The best ventilation that I have found for the van, if you are in a hot circumstance, which I have been in Arizona here for a little while, is to pop the window open here, little T-vent, and have both fans pulling air out at their top speed, and then you really get a huge amount of flow coming from this. It's pretty cool. Window right here does have this little T-vent guy on it. I close this while you're driving. It'll be really annoying to hear the wind coming through there. We've also got a couple other little odds and ends. This is a little flip up countertop right there. Pretty rad. Under here, it's got this hardware. There's little bits of, it's like this weather stripping that I found at the hardware store. I put it in there to stop. Sometimes the hardware can be kind of rattly when you're driving, so it does a pretty good job of stopping that. Down below here is also a magnet bar that connects to these magnets, so that it kind of just bonks into place when you close it. I use my forearm to hit these little switches, and then very satisfying bonk to finish it off there. Oops. Drawers wise, this is the best hardware I found for drawers. It is just a little boat handle, and you can see how it functions there. Cool, dude. This one bonks into the wood. You can feel it, and it's not going nowhere. They're all the same. Big yummy drawers. Soft close. Actually, no soft close, because you're actually trying to, like, not slam, but you need to close these for real so that the latch works. Soft close is kind of an extra cost in the van that you don't need. Over here, this is basically a trim piece to cover up this. The main thing to think about here is that this needs to be, that fan is pulling air into the electrical box, so there needs to be some form of like ventilation, some way for it to get through. It's just a couple of magnets on the back of this guy that you'll feel it when it connects to them, and there you go, not going nowhere. You could totally put something in there. You just want to be conscious of allowing the fan to pull air in to the electrical stuff. Cool. There's these touch lights motion lights in many places in the van. They're rechargeable and they're magnetic. Just bonk it up there. The thing about having them be like motion sensitive that's cool is that when you open the door and it's dark, they'll light up and you can see what you're doing. We've got this guy up here. This is just a shelf, basically. Put some foam on there so you don't bonk your head. The shelf is another circumstance where I'm using these baskets or something like that, because the shelf, it does have a little bit of a gap here, so you could, stuff will just fall through if it's small enough. So I put stuff in the baskets, and that's really great because, again, you can pull the basket down, see what's going on. Pretty happy with that. Let's see if you can stay right there, buddy. Got a swivel seat right here. Forward, long. feel was great. Part of the build of this fan was to have something where 3 people could hang out in here, and that's what we have now. Someone can sit there and on the cooler and in the spot right here. Pretty happy with that. Sitting here, you can also bump this guy up and do whatever you need to on here. The things that you will discover along the way.